The median sales price here in Central Florida has gone up $1,000 year over year. Not exactly the crazy increase in pricing that we've seen over the past 6 or 7 years. And yet I do have some predictions on what I see coming in 2025. Stay tuned. Before we can get into 2025, we have to figure out where are we settling out here in 2024. Now, I look at the number of sales nationwide have actually dropped from 2021, where we had 6 million home sales, a record, all the way to 2023, where we only had 4 million sales. And in 2024, it's expected that we're going to be at like 3.8 million sales overall. So demand and the amount of people actually transacting has fallen dramatically year over year nationwide. And we're seeing really the same things here locally in Orlando. Now, I know in our opener, I mentioned that the median sales price has gone up $1,000 on average, but real estate is hyper local. When you start going around town and looking at some of the different cities on which areas have actually increased, some that have decreased, it's interesting to see. Over on the west side in Claremont, the median sales price has gone up 1%. Over in Windermere, it's gone up 3.3%. In Winter Garden, it's been completely flat. Over on the east side in Oviedo, we have a 0.3% appreciation, whereas over in Winter Park, we saw an 8% appreciation. So very, very different markets, but it's very easy to see kind of like where the demand overall is. In 2019 through 2023, we saw a lot of people moving to Davenport and Kissimmee and Point Siena and Winter Haven because they wanted a second home, and that's where a lot of affordability happened. We saw new construction booms and some other things that caused pricing to flatline when things got a little bit tough. Whereas you look at like Winter Park, there's not a lot of new construction. There's still that higher end buyer that's pushing forward in purchasing, which is pushing prices up overall. In Winter Garden, where things are completely flat, you kind of have a mix of both. You have a lot of new construction options, but plenty of resale, and the proximity to everything is keeping that price really even-steven. So where do we go in 2025? Before I bring it locally to tell you what I think is going to happen in Orlando, let's take it nationwide and figure out what are some very smart economists saying in regards to what they think is going to happen in 2025 and 2026. Lawrence Yun, who's the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors, took a look at unemployment, new jobs, inflation, inventory, and said, okay, what do we think is actually going to happen next year? And there's 3 things that kind of came out about this. The number of transactions he believes that are going to happen in 2025 are going to raise about 9%, which would get us to that 4.2 million range or so, feeling very, very similar to 2023 in regards to how many transactions are happening. He finished off his report saying that he believes that roughly 2% price appreciation year over year is going to happen on a nationwide basis. But how does it actually fall into us locally here in Orlando? So moving into 2025 for Central Florida and Greater Orlando, where are we going in terms of pricing? Well, I look at the areas that pulled back in pricing for 2024, that being Polk County and Osceola County. And why that is when you've got Lake County, Orange County, and Seminole County on the way up still with pricing. I think it has to do with people being a bit more picky in regards to their lifestyle. They can be because there's more listings available, there's more new construction available. And so now that they have options, where are they going to be more drawn to? Well, it's going to be areas that, yes, are affordable, that have things to do, that have schools, that have roads, and all of those things that Osceola County and Polk County have sort of lacked. Now, in 2025, I do believe Osceola County is going to break apart from Polk County in regards to overall desirability, because you're going to have a lot more things that are finally coming on board. You've got more roads and more schools and more things coming into Osceola County that are really exciting to see. The Sunbridge area is kind of finally getting connected with more roads. You've got Waterland, which is going to be down in St. Cloud, a massive new neighborhood right on the turnpike. And so I think that the affordability of Osceola County is going to drive growth in 2025, along with the areas that are already seeing massive demand. Now, Polk County, I believe that because the average sales price there is like 10 to 15% lower than a lot of areas here in Central Florida, that you will still see demand. I just don't think the growth is going to be there comparatively. Next up, I want to talk about some of the massive projects that are still happening here in Central Florida and what I think that's going to do to home values in 2025. But before I do that, if you're looking to sell or buy a house anywhere in Central Florida and you're looking for somebody to help you guide you through all of the craziness that's going on, my team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. We have almost 1,300 5-star reviews over on Google. Reach out to us at theorlandoreal.com/YouTube to get started. When I think through the growth in our area, prices aren't going to just come up because they're coming up. There's going to be driving factors beyond that. And I look at Disney's report that came out over the past week in regards to their theme park attendance pretty much being flat year over year. Universal put out theirs for last year and theme park attendance was down. I I think a lot of things are people waiting for this stuff to come on, whether it's Epic Universe is coming next year, you've got Disney investing a ton of money in their parks, and yet that's going to take some time for some of that stuff to finally come online. Now I look at some of the other investments that are going on, both at the convention center. There's $1.4 billion being invested over at the airport for new rental car facilities and a bunch of other stuff. It seems to me like 2025 is going to be a setup year for 2026 and 2027. In regards to things being finished, you've got hundreds of millions of dollars being invested over at Camping World Stadium. And so all of that stuff means jobs today, though. And so I think that as those construction jobs come on, as new businesses get started, as things start to expand, both for the theme parks, but also for aerospace and defense and tech and all the other things that are happening here in Central Florida, it feels like 2025 is that setup year that we're going to see for future growth. And that's something I'm really excited about for our future. While 2024 isn't quite over, I do have a lot of cool things planned for 2025. Bigger videos, more in-depth videos, helping you guys stay the most informed audience here in Central Florida. Thanks for coming along on the journey with me, and we'll see you guys on the next video.